Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the conversation series. I am thrilled today to be in person with Mr. Cornelius Kirk, and he is in Durham, North Carolina. He is just one of three of the hosts of the Bro Co show, and I'm thrilled. He's an advocate, author, father. But I'm thrilled to have him here today and to be talking with him. So, Cornelius, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, man, I feel so privileged.
Yeah.
Anytime I get to sit amongst people who do
Yeah.
what I do, I get so privileged.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for having me.
Yes, absolutely. And we're in a beautiful, we were talking about it for forever. We're in a beautiful space. It's hard to even describe the
Yeah.
space we're in right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I walked in and I'm like, yo, really? Okay, cool. This is what we're doing today, huh? This is great. No, this is very well done.
This is how we're kicking off Monday.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. But I'm so excited here. Did I miss any of your titles? Did I miss any descriptors of
I may have
you?
some future stuff, but no,
Okay.
you did me well. You did
Good.
me well.
Good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to kick it off and talk about the Broadco show first off, and talk about what you, what JC, what Troy have created, and why you created it.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Love the bro code. So we created 2020.
Okay.
And we are talking about it
We were
off.
talking about it.
Yeah, like pandemic sitting here.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do?
Yep.
How are we gonna so for instance, most of the work you see us doing
Yep.
was birthed out of nonprofit work.
Yep.
So we have a nonprofit we've been doing for about 7 years
Okay.
with young men,
Okay.
and we weren't able to reach them.
Yes.
So we're like,
Yes.
how do we get our voice out to them?
Yes.
And it ended up spinning into more than them because we were
Yep.
doing mentoring virtually.
Okay.
And then we said, well, why don't we do something with a podcast?
Yeah.
Why don't we share our voice?
Yep.
There it started. We started on StreamYard.
Yep.
And that is probably, if we're counting, 200 episodes ago.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah.
It's fast how quick episodes pile.
Man. We were filming, man, we were filming some weeks when we switched to personal.
Yeah.
In person.
Yeah.
We were doing maybe 5 episodes a week
Isn't crazy?
in different cities.
Yeah.
And our whole team. And
Yeah.
yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I like having a sort of full calendar where I am having these conversations, because it keeps me on my toes. It keeps me fresh. It keeps me the wheels turning.
Wholly get it.
Yeah.
I do rest.
Yeah.
For people listening that want to say, when do you sleep?
Yeah. We were just talking about this.
I sleep, I
Yeah.
promise.
Yeah.
But it keeps me in tune
Yeah.
with my creative side to
Yeah.
have it all scheduled. I look so forward
Yeah.
to episodes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And mainly because of the guests, like hearing all the amazing stories from the people that we get to meet. And again, too, because we film in different places.
Yep.
So we're always in amazing spaces.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And that's what, like, Cornelius and I were talking a lot before this, but that's why I like doing these in person in different spaces, because this is a completely different vibe, a creative space than it would be if we were doing it somewhere else, where it would have been a completely different vibe. So I totally get it, because I love these opportunities to pick people's minds, to see what they've gone through, to hear just what's inside their head.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Same page.
Yeah.
Same
Yeah.
page. Same page. I think that I don't have to figure everything out.
Yeah.
If I can talk to you for 15 minutes and you share a couple of gems
Yep.
of things you would do
Yep.
and wouldn't do,
Yep.
I'm gonna soak that up
Yep.
instead of me having to go through
Yes.
it and step in those landmines.
Yes.
So yeah, absolutely.
Yes. You're wearing this shirt right now, and for everybody who can't see it, it says "Wellness is my love language." This is in your social media bios. People have seen you promote this quite a bit. What is wellness? Why is this important for you?
So man, that's a great question. Let me put this the right way.
Set the stage for us.
Yeah, like the most important thing in our lives. There's so many things that are going for our attention and what we value, but what's more valuable than my body?
Yeah.
Right. So like that part, and that's not just one thing, it's everything.
Yep.
It's my physical, my mental, my
Yep.
spiritual, my emotional, all those things I have to take care of them.
Yes.
And so instead of me having to worry about it, I said, you know what? Why don't I round my identity around that being a very important part of my life?
Yep.
And I've done that.
Yep.
And I'm doing that. Not just for myself, but those around me too, because it's contagious.
Yep.
When people get around it.
Yeah. It is. It is. And I think so much of what we've been preached wellness for years now, I feel like. And ever since, we've been talking about the pandemic, I feel like wellness is preached because we start to see a real highlight of mental. And that was, everybody's in their homes, everybody's not able to go out and do things like they're normally able to do to keep their mental health and wellness
Yeah.
up, and I think that for those of us who were paying attention before the pandemic, like, that has always been a problem, but I think you've seen more of that come a spotlight,
Yeah.
in the last few years.
I would totally agree. I think that the pandemic was a trigger to showing people what
Yes.
was actually going on inside.
Yep.
Now you realize we're all so busy,
Yep.
but we were forced
Yeah.
to spend time with ourselves.
Yes.
And not only that, actually maybe spending time with people who maybe we're in relationships or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yep.
And we're kind of like sleeping together, but not really in a relationship because we're
Yeah.
gone. Now
Yeah.
we have to be in the same room
Yep.
24 hours a
Yep.
day for however long.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
definitely exposed a lot when it came to
Yes.
wellness.
There was a lot that was, I think, tested of us when we got into the
Mhm.
pandemic.
Mhm.
And I mean, I was at the time I was living with my dad. My sister then moved in too, and it was like we were kids again living with our
That's great.
parents.
That's great.
But it I mean, we tested each other. My sister was in cosmetology school, getting her esthetician's license. I was at home full time working. My dad was full time working, and you had my dog and my sister's cats. I mean, it was a full funny farm
Yeah.
happening at the house, but it was how are all three of us going to work together in this one house? One of us get our education and keep sitting down at the dinner table at the end of the day and completely forgetting whether we yelled at each other or not during the day.
Yeah. I totally feel that. I think
Yeah.
that a lot of us didn't have workspaces set up. For
Yeah.
instance, I'm working from home now,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Be it my work and my company.
Yep.
So like I need a space, and
Yes.
not only a space where I don't want to hear, I can hear the TV or I can see
Yeah.
people coming
Yeah.
in and for me, creative space is very important.
Yes.
And like the color of the walls and all these
Yeah.
things, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, it brought out a lot for me,
Yeah.
of what I really wanted my life to look
Yep.
like.
Yep.
And it helped me to say, I'm not sacrificing
Yeah.
going after it.
Now that you just said you working from home, you're on the road still with the Broadco show, but do you like working from home? Like that came out of COVID massively, but do you like that people have their opinions on this?
Yes, this is a great question. First of all, I didn't think I would
Okay.
because I love the energy of people.
Yep.
However, I'm real big on peace and my
Yeah.
home is sacred.
Yeah.
So I love it. Yes. To answer your
Yes.
question, yes,
Yeah.
because my home is set up,
Okay.
I actually get peace at home.
Okay.
And I think that some people don't like it
Yep.
just maybe because of the home situation.
Yep.
I love being able to do both.
Okay. Yep. I agree with you. I am, full remote work. I love it because I love that I have the opportunity if I wanted to and a break. I go let the dogs out and I go just sit on my back porch for 15 minutes and I sit on some land. So it's just nice for 15 minutes. I hear the birds, dogs are running around. It's peaceful. So
Yeah.
I completely understand
No
that.
gas money,
Yeah.
right? No, my clothes, I just put it whenever I want, like, yeah, there's some
You
great
can't see from
benefits.
the bottom down. It's all
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I I relate to that and I agree with you. I have like a stand-up desk, so like I get antsy when I sit too long. So I am very much I'm like if I need to I'll stand up.
you're one of those people.
I am.
Okay,
I
okay, good to
am.
know, good to know.
I don't have the tread pad
Oh,
underneath
yeah,
though. I'm
yeah,
not one of those people,
yeah, yeah,
but I do I'm a standing cuz I'm like I got to move around some sort of
yeah,
way.
yeah. No, I get it. I'm the
Yeah.
same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's important I think sometimes. I'm like you realize how slouched over you are sometimes in your
I'm
seat.
doing it now. Sometimes well, and this is great, this, but when you see yourself on camera,
Yes.
camera really exposes
Yeah.
a lot, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes we're filming and I'm like slouched over.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, bro, you know,
Sit
yeah, sit up. Like it doesn't look good on camera. So
it was funny too because you don't realize the faces that you make either when we're talking about that.
yeah,
When I was the last company I worked for, a close coworker of mine, she was like, "I have RBF on camera." And I'm like, "I don't believe you." She was like, "Just watch over the next few weeks." And I'd slack her and I'd be like, "Your RBF's on." She's like, "I told you what." She's like, "I have no idea when I'm doing it or that I'm doing it."
yeah,
So that to your point, I'm like, I become aware of the facial expressions
yeah,
that I have.
yeah. For me, I'm such a good listener.
Yes.
However, my
Yes.
face doesn't always, it looks
Yeah.
like, why is he looking like that? Why is he mad? And I'm not, I'm just listening. But when I see it on camera, I'm
Yeah.
like, yo, bro, you got to smile more. You got to be more like, I see it. So you're 100% correct. That's great.
I want to hop back into the Broco show. what is the year look like right now for the Bro Code? What is top priority? What is, or goals for this year?
Yeah, great question. Let me see. What is it? I think the biggest thing is continuing to get exposure,
Okay.
right? Number one, but number two, we have it set up where we shoot our episodes.
Yep.
We're not just a podcast. First
Right.
of all, we call ourselves a TV show,
Yep.
on
Which I
purpose,
love that.
right? There's a reason for that
Yes.
long term,
Yes.
because of people like here or there, events. So we
Okay.
do live events. We call them red carpet
Yes.
events. We've done those. We
Okay.
have one coming up with the Raleigh Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
It's a DEI event on the 25th.
Okay.
We love that because people
Yes.
get to see us in a different light.
Yep.
So that we're actually writing a book about wellness. We have a wellness tour coming out where we're
Okay.
going to go to school, colleges,
Okay.
and do our podcast
Okay.
on
I love that. I
stage,
love
but
that.
also engage with
Okay.
music and all these things. So we're building it out to be more than just us
Yes.
sitting at a mic
Yes.
talking, so
Yes.
that we're never stuck in one space.
Okay.
So
Very cool. And we were talking about this, but like, it's not just you. You have a whole crew with you. And we were talking about it's rare that people who started things during the pandemic have made it
yeah,
3 years out.
yeah.
How has it been? Three different men, three different personalities, three different working styles. How has that been to collaborate with each other?
So not perfect, right?
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
perfect.
Yep.
Here's the beauty. Here's the nugget. We liked each other before.
Good.
So we've been working with each other.
Yeah.
We were already kind of vetted through
Yes.
the nonprofit work together.
Yep.
So we already knew our nuances of don't say this,
Yeah.
or he likes this.
Yep.
Do we still clash?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
But it's always respectfully.
Okay.
Right. Like we're big on like it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
There's some non-negotiables.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. But we respect each other.
I love that. And I think that's so important too. I talk about all the time, like, and I ask people, I'm like, what is important about building your team? Like, what are you looking for when you're building a team? Because everybody's different. Everybody has a different working style, but even it's not just the three of you anymore. You have a team. What is, to your point, like, what is important in finding who you add to your team?
Great question. And I think the biggest thing for us is loyalty.
Okay.
Consistency is one of our favorite words.
I love it.
And because we are consistent.
Yep.
If the team member's not,
Yep.
obviously they can't be on our team.
Yep.
How they treat people.
Yep.
This is like this one right here.
Yeah.
Like we just walked into a restaurant and the hostess or the bartender or the server.
Yep.
How did you treat them?
Yep.
Because if you treat them, you're representing,
Yes.
number one, you're representing us.
Yes.
You're representing yourself.
Yes.
You're representing our brand.
Yep.
And we treat them
Yep.
amazing.
Yep.
So you have to.
Yeah.
So it's just little stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just is.
I relate to, I mean, I've had people who will call customer service or a business because something is wrong, and hearing how they talk to people, I'm like, I don't know if I could ever work with you because I don't want you to handle any of my problems in that way.
So true.
Because I don't want to be known for that.
And if that's in there,
Yes.
that's going to come out.
Yes.
Right. Especially under pressure.
Yeah. And it's always funny to me. I made a call this morning, and honestly, I felt like she was stunned by just how pleasant I was at 8 a.m. on a Monday. And she was like, can I place you on a brief hold? I was like, absolutely. I was like, do what you need to do.
I don't know. I've never gotten far treating people bad.
No.
And you may get what you want in that moment, but it won't last long term.
Yep.
And your reputation or character
Yep.
will be out there in the
Yep.
streets.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
people like, am I perfect at it? No. But if I do make a mistake, and I do,
Yeah.
I circle back and I'm
Yep.
like, yo, I shouldn't have treated you like that.
Right.
It was me.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Everybody has bad days, but
Yeah.
at the same time, like, you don't have to make somebody else's day bad as well.
Exactly.
And it's funny because what you're talking about, because when I was at a bigger company, you hear executive leaders who are coming in when you're planning an event or getting ready, and they're treating the vendors like crap. I'm like, not only do people not want to work with you now, but you're putting a bad name on the company. So now nobody wants to work with the company when we want to go do something later down the road. Now they might not host us.
You know what I love too is it's such a small world.
Yeah.
It's so funny, right?
Come back
it
around.
does. I'm like, oh man, that person 3 years ago, right?
Yeah.
It's so important. Like
Yeah.
I always think about it in a way because we all want something. I'm looking at the person in front of me and saying, hey, they have $10 million in their pocket.
Yep.
I need to act like it.
Yep.
I don't know who they know.
Yep.
I know my cashier.
Yes.
I go with Food Line every day.
Yes.
I know Barbara.
Yeah.
I speak to Barbara.
Yeah.
I say, good morning, Barbara.
Yep.
Do I really want anything from her? No.
No.
But I don't know who she knows.
Yeah. And it to your point, it's funny because even this beautiful place that we're in right now, I never met the host before today. He knew I was recording a podcast here today. He's like, I walked in, he's like, I have 5 people who I want to introduce you to. And I had never met him before. We had had very nice conversations just introducing ourselves to each other, but it was just once again, you never know what type of interaction. If I had never responded to any of his messages when booking this space, it probably would have put a bad taste on his mouth of how I run my business.
Yeah. You asked me a question that reminds me of something that happened, and it keeps happening.
Yeah.
Is I had people reach out to me,
Yep.
kind of like you did,
Yep.
but one guy was like, "Yo, I've been watching you for 2 years. I've
Mm.
been waiting for you to post something negative or say something out of pocket."
Oh,
And he's like, "I want to have coffee with you." We sat down and he's like, "Yo, I need you to be a part of something that's going to be very lucrative." He said, "But I don't bring people in unless I
yeah.
vet them." And
Yep.
he says, "Usually my vetting is about 2 years." And I was just like, wow, you're always on an interview with people. And so
Yeah.
just realizing that and not
Yeah.
that it's important when you walk out your door
Yep.
to be in that good space, be that
Yep.
good energy. So
Yep. I recently I had a another interview last week and I had asked her, I was like, how do you figure out for your podcast who you talk to? And she was like, I vet people like crazy. She was like, I make sure, she was like, I don't want to bring somebody on that will trigger somebody or like that has had a bad experience or bad something in the community. She was like, that is not what I want to have on my show and for me to be part of or known of. And so it's crazy. Like it really
that's
is.
good. That's so good. And people will.
Oh
They
yeah.
will if you interview that person,
Yeah.
you're attached to whatever they do. Is that fair always?
Yeah.
No, but it's
No.
real.
Yeah.
It's real.
Yeah.
So we vet.
Yeah.
We vet.
I vet quite a bit. And I did it in the beginning just because when you're in the beginning, you're like, who can I get on quick? Like, let's start building this.
Yeah.
But at the same time, now you get farther into it. And when you are introducing yourself, you're in spaces more where there are larger communities and you're in these meetings and things like that. You're like, okay, let me go do my research a
Well,
little bit.
and two, shame on people for not vetting.
Yeah.
With the amount of information that's out
Yeah.
there, I can cross reference their social media on in every
Yeah.
platform, and I do that.
Oh yeah.
Right? Not to be a stalker, but like it's
Welcome to the
important.
women in FBI world and
Exactly.
how we look
Exactly.
at guys.
I look across every platform to
Yeah.
make sure it's congruent.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even when I am doing just basic research, I mean, I looked at your Instagram, your LinkedIn, every social profile you had, your link tree to see what you had. Like, I'll do that basic stuff and then I'll go another level to see just what in the world it like on Google are there.
Did I pass?
Yes, you passed.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Absolutely.
Cool. Cool.
Yep, yep. And once again, I had been a follower of yours for a year, so I had been watching and looking at what you were doing, and I was like, "This, like,
I appreciate that.
thank
First
you."
of all, the
Yeah.
confirmation because I put a lot of people don't realize, but like I put a lot of work.
Yes.
It's not just I'm not just posting something.
Yep.
It's actually my life.
Yeah.
Like it's not I post who I am and what
Yep.
I'm doing. I'm not perfect, but
Yep.
I want that what you just
Yep.
said
Yep.
that's who people
Yep.
think I am, and that's who I want to be.
Yeah.
So
Do you guys pay attention to like what do you pay attention to in your community in terms of the Broco show and how do you listen to all of the comments and the questions? How do you guys filter that into what you guys do?
a little bit.
Okay.
So we're mindful of what people say
Yep.
because we're called to serve people.
Yep.
So for me to, I
Yeah.
have to know what you
Yep.
say
Yes.
and what you need and
Yep.
what's important to you. It doesn't always direct everything we do,
Yeah.
but we're mindful of it because we want to be able to impact our community.
Okay.
And we can't impact them if we don't have proximity
Yep.
and if our ears aren't to their hearts.
Yep.
And so,
I
yeah,
love that.
we have to.
Yeah.
And they're aligned. So it's actually easier now than ever before.
Okay.
Being able to show up that way.
Yep.
Yeah.
People ask me all the time, they're like, do you like listen to your community in terms of who they want you to have on? And I was like, kind of like I'll poke interest to see if there is maybe a career or a pathway that I haven't talked to.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to a chef before, you know what I mean? But is there interest? But most of the time, I'm like, who do I have interest in and who do I see doing good in the community? Who do I see that is working with people to make lives better, whatever it may be? and I'm like, I pick out pieces like you were talking about. What are the gems? What are the things to point out that people might not think of when looking at you or talking with you or somebody else? Um, so it's a little bit of a you go back and forth. What's the balance you have to find?
And one other thing too, because it is a business.
Yeah.
We don't want to miss anybody,
Yeah.
so we want to be diverse
Yep.
in the way we move. Uh, we want to. We're digital storytellers,
Yeah. Yeah.
so we've had a little bit of everybody. So
Yep.
when you see our platform, you should see you.
Yep.
That's important to us.
Yes. Yes. And it's funny because I it drives me crazy sometimes when people are like, "Oh, we couldn't, you don't have this a lot of women on your podcast and stuff like that." And they're like, "Well, we just couldn't find anybody." Don't tell me that.
Ah,
Don't tell me
you
that.
didn't look.
That's where vetting right
Just say we
there.
haven't found them. Say
Yes.
something, but
Yes.
don't say
Say
that.
something that and it is interesting. It once again it goes to the balance. You have to find the balance of what you want to be represented as well. Like, do you want to be diverse, or are you specifically trying to talk to a certain person, a certain avenue, whatever it may be?
Yeah. We chose, and we
Yeah.
continue to work.
Yeah.
We continue to work on it because it's not easy.
Yes.
But we chose to tell stories of people.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're all people,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
And everybody has a story, and they're
Yes.
all to me very interesting. I just
Yeah.
sit there, and I'm like, this is great.
This
Like
is
I love
I
this.
love this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
You and I were talking about this beforehand. Like, all right, the creativity. How do you get the creativity out? And it's the conversations.
yeah.
I was telling you, and it's just this fuels the fire for me. It really does.
Yeah. So I eat because I have to.
Yeah.
But other than that, the thing that gets me almost higher than maybe not family and things
Yeah.
like that, but is this right here.
Yeah.
Like I have two podcasts, like this one and then
Yeah.
we're filming later.
Yeah.
Once I'm done with those,
Yeah.
I feel so on fire.
I feel
Like,
great. And especially like this is fantastic. When you had texted me, you're like, "Can we do it on this day?" I'm like, "Oh, it's Monday." I'm like, "Do we want to do this on?" But I was like, "This is fantastic though, because this will get me amped up for the rest of the day,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I'm ready to go."
I love it. Yeah.
Where have you seen the growth from taking the Broadco show into the community and then your mentoring as well? Have you seen growth in those areas combining the three of them in the nonprofit work?
Yeah. It's such a slippery slope
Yeah.
because people want to put you in a box of something you do,
Yep.
and they all kind of intertwine.
Yep.
We would have never had the podcast without the nonprofit.
Yep.
So we want to keep the main thing the main thing. And
Yep.
the main thing is us serving the community,
Yep.
which in that area for us, our sweet spot is young men.
Yep.
And so we stay in that lane
Yep.
when we're in it. And then when it's time to later that day switch into
Yeah.
the broco business,
Yeah.
we switch into that.
Okay.
And then the same thing with like our families
Yeah.
and whatever else we're
Yeah.
doing. But we're very intent. I am at least, and I know my
Yeah.
brothers are. We're very intentional.
Yes.
We're very focused. We're
Yes.
in where we are. Our feet, wherever our feet are.
Yes.
That's where we are.
Love it. I want to ask you this because I find it funny. Does your family listen and pay attention to the work you do?
Some of them.
Okay.
Okay. Some
Okay.
of them. But yes, for the most
Yes.
part.
Okay.
For the most part, my family's very supportive
Okay.
of what I do, as long as it hasn't. Okay. Let me hold on. Let me back up.
I asked this for a particular reason.
It's a great question. They didn't used to.
Okay.
And you know why? It's because I was putting it before them.
Oh.
Oh, absolutely. You said it earlier. I was so excited.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
This is the thing that I've
Yeah.
been looking for. It's here. You guys, I'll be back later. Deal with you when I have a chance. But I realized that doesn't work so well.
Yeah.
And so they say balance is impossible, but it is.
Yes.
So I'm very intentional when I'm not filming
Yep.
or I'm not doing something.
Yes.
That time is sacred with my family.
Yep.
They know, hey, they are the reason I do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
They want you to show them in time
Yes.
and quality time.
Yeah.
So I've
Yeah.
really worked on that.
I have certain members of my family who, like my dad, I'll get in the car with him sometimes when he's taking me to the airport or something and he's listening. I'm like, I can't be in the car with you right now as you're listening to me.
Do you listen? Do you listen to your work?
I do. You know what I mean? Like I go through the editing. I edit everything myself.
so
So
you have
I
to
go
listen.
through it and I listen and I'm watching myself too. I like it and I hate it because I'm like, oh, you said too many times. Or I'm doing something in particular that I'm like, okay, how do I stop doing that? Because it's annoying me and I don't even know what the guest was thinking when I was saying it.
Yeah.
So I do when I go through the editing process.
Yeah.
But like I'll look like my mom, she's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, recording, and I'm like editing a podcast, and she's like, "Oh, how many episodes have you had?" And I'm like, "Really?" I'm like, "It's," I'm like, "Do you not listen?" I'm like, "What are we doing?"
So I think that the last people to catch on
Yeah,
is those closest to us.
yeah,
And I think that one of the quotes that my mentor would always tell me is a prophet's not accepted in his
yep,
hometown.
yep,
So sometimes I feel like our family, they just see you as you're a
yes,
little old,
yeah. It's just
right?
me.
And so I think that's part of it.
It is funny because my sister, she won't let me know either if she's listened to an episode. I'll just tell her because she's in the house sometimes, and she's like, I tell her, I'm like, quiet time for like an hour. Don't bother me.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
so great. Yeah. I do that even when I'm on like social media
Yeah.
doing like I'm always cutting
Yeah.
videos. I'm always doing IG
Yes.
lives.
Yes.
And I'm like quiet on the set and everybody's like, "Oh, here we go." Right? And it's funny because I built a house, but I didn't build it based on this.
Yep.
But moving forward, every time I love first of all, I want to move every 3 years.
I love that.
Every 3 years. No matter how much I love my
Yeah.
space,
Yeah.
even like this space is amazing.
Yes.
I want to move every 3 years,
Yes.
create new spaces,
Yes.
meet new people, move to another part of town. But every home I build moving forward
Yeah.
will definitely have a dedicated
Space.
space
Yes.
for this.
All the creative stuff you do, we've been talking about, you have all these conversations all the time. You're constantly, this is what you thrive off of. But do you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert?
Ooh, really? That's what we're doing. So
Yes.
if you catch me, like for instance, people are like, "Do you talk?" I don't. I'm very quiet.
Okay.
Like that's when I'm most creative because
Yeah.
I'm a watcher. So I'm a
Mm.
people watcher.
Yep.
I'm a pattern watcher.
Yeah.
So I'm very introverted,
Okay.
right?
People question me all the time because I am very much an introvert.
Mhm.
But people are like, you do all this.
Uh,
And I'm
yeah,
like, it doesn't mean anything. I'm like, I can like have these moments and then completely be like, all right, I just want to kind of, I need my 20 minutes to get
or
kind
as
of,
soon as we stop filming,
yeah,
you might see me in a corner
yeah,
because I've given so much energy to that space right there.
yes,
I need to go
yes,
recharge.
yeah,
So, um, I didn't, I didn't talk. I didn't do public speaking. I didn't
yeah,
do any of
yeah,
that. Now I love it.
yeah,
However, it's just a piece of me.
yes,
It's not truly what I,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm like, as you were just saying, it's high energy for a certain amount of time. And then you come out of it and you're like, ooh, I feel like I've just ran a marathon sometimes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's it's a lot of high energy thrown at one time.
So true. So true.
Yeah. And the amount of times everybody's like, "Are you an extrovert?" And I'm like, "No."
Yeah. No. If in the right space,
Yes.
I'll let myself like be
Yes.
free. But for the most part, I'm gonna be like
Yeah.
on a wall somewhere paying attention.
Yeah.
That's just who I am.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, one on one,
Yep.
you won't see me in a crowd.
Yeah.
It's just not my.
I
I don't
love
think anything great happens in the crowd for the most part,
No.
so I kind of stay away from
Yes.
crowds. But one on one, love it.
Yeah.
Small, intimate gatherings on the deck.
Yes.
That's the type of thing I like.
I'm a people watcher too, and so it's amazing to me. My sister and I were just in Charlotte over the weekend for a concert, and we were like looking around. I'm like, my God, I'm fascinated right now just watching everybody.
It's so true. I was just in Charlotte. My daughter just moved there.
Okay.
I love the vibe of what Charlotte got going on
I
down.
do too.
I love Charlotte. Wouldn't live there, but I
No.
do like to visit.
Yes.
But a
Yeah.
people watcher, I don't know. You just can learn
Yeah.
so much. Even just like, why are they walking that way?
Yeah.
Why are they walking so fast? Or why are they
Yeah.
walking so slow?
Yeah.
I don't.
It's interesting. It is. And I always I'm much like you. I'm just kind of like watching. I'm just like people, and my sister will sometimes be like, she's like, Danielle, you're staring. And I'm like, oh, sorry.
Stop staring
So
at
I'm
everybody.
like
That's
also just
great.
start looking around everywhere, but I'm like, it's a habit you get into.
Well, you can learn some humans. You can learn so much
Yes.
by just we
Yes.
don't have to talk,
Yeah.
just watching.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I want to go back to the wellness space and how you have your house set up. And I was having this conversation with somebody the other day. Do you keep your work in your space, or do you have a tendency to take it out of your office space, your peace zone, and carry it to your bedroom or other places?
For the most part, it's in that one space.
Okay.
It's in the
Okay.
office. I can
Yep.
close the 2 doors
Yep.
and it's there.
Yep.
I can leave it messy if I want,
Yep.
whatever that looks
Yep.
like.
Yep.
But each room has in my way a certain different energy, the
Okay.
kitchen, the
Yep.
living room, the bedroom,
Yep.
and I leave them as they are.
Yes.
I love the kitchen to be cooking and
Yeah.
maybe music
Yep.
and everybody vibing.
Yep.
Living room can be conversational,
Yes.
TV. But yeah, I think every room has its own
Yes.
dedicated energy.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just telling somebody, I was like, it became where I was taking my laptop up to my bedroom and working in my bed. And I'm like, for my mental health, I was like, that's when I was like, okay, hold on. Lat work does not cross the stairs. It can stay in the living room if it needs to, like if I'm editing videos or I just want to sit on the couch out there, but it does not go up the stairs.
So I have a huge TV in my bedroom, but I've been more and more
Yeah.
because I know you're not supposed to. I know for the people out there, you're
We
not
know, we
supposed to
all
have a
know.
TV in your
Yes,
bedroom,
I do
right?
too.
But I haven't been watching a lot of TV at
Yeah.
all, but not in my bedroom.
Yeah.
It's just a quiet
Yeah.
space, peaceful space.
Yeah. My sister, and that's her space at nighttime. She goes in her bedroom, she watches her TV, she has her pets and everything like that. And it's just that's where she is and that's her time after work. And I totally get it. And I'm downstairs and that's where I do my TV. Cause when I go upstairs to my room, I'm like, lights out. I'm
Yeah,
like, that's
same. Yeah,
pick up a book,
yeah.
do something there,
So
write
you're
stuff down.
you're a reader.
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Wait. So let me ask you
okay,
this:
go.
so are you a reader of one book and finish, or
Oh,
can
this
you
is
read multiple
great.
books?
This is great
Yeah.
question. I go through phases and that's a horrible answer, but I if I get sucked into a book, I get sucked in and I finish it really quickly.
Yeah.
If it's something that's a little slower for me, I'm like, okay, I may need just to put it down for just a couple of days and start something else over here that I've got in my stack and go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same. So I have a stack.
Yes.
Now that's the only thing that will kind of fall through the house. You might see books everywhere. That's
Everywhere.
because I love reading.
Yes.
Right. I love just
Yeah.
what that
Yep.
represents. I really believe
Yeah.
success lead clues, and it's all in
Yep.
books.
Yep.
So I don't have to go out here and make mistakes.
Yep.
I can read a book about it.
Yep. Yeah.
So yeah.
It's funny because my reading has changed dramatically. Like I've always been a massive reader ever since I was a kid, but what I read has changed.
As it,
And as I've been in business and marketing more, I find myself drawn to more business books just because I enjoy the perspective that they give. And I'm like, huh, that's interesting.
do you have a favorite?
Building a story brand, that was what it was.
I've read that. That's a great book.
I
That's such a
was
great book.
I couldn't put it down. It is bookmarked
Yeah.
like crazy because we went through a branding exercise what like we were just talking about, the pieces that go into having to rebrand a brand, you're like, "Holy crap, I didn't think about this." Or you like,
People think it's just a logo.
yeah,
It's way more than a logo.
it's way more.
It's way more than a
Yep.
color.
Yep.
But it's great because when you see it well done,
Yep.
you're like, man, it's all tied together.
Yep.
And they thought of that.
Yep.
I love that.
Yeah. I want to dip into one of your recent guests. You were talking about DEI. That's a big, important piece.
It is.
I just want to get your perspective in terms of DEI, the importance to you.
Yeah.
And how you find that.
Man. So let me start with this. I really believe that we're all connected
Yep.
or collective.
Yep.
And when you walk in a room,
Yep.
I want to feel like for myself and everyone else,
Yep.
that they see themselves in that room,
Yeah.
that their voices in that room, that they're being accepted and heard in that room.
Yep.
And that room may not be a room, it may be a city, or it may
Yep.
be a company,
Yep.
or whatever it is, a church, whatever it is.
Yep.
But like it should be okay or comfortable for those people to see themselves in that room. And that isn't always the case.
Yeah.
There's rooms I walk in now and I'm like, I don't see myself. I don't feel like I would be.
Yeah.
And so we aim to change that. And you know, I think it's really centered around having conversations.
Yeah.
Having open, courageous, a lot of conversations and getting closer to people. Me and you have a total different background.
Totally.
But if I'm willing to open my heart, my mind, and my ears, we can
Yep.
meet in the middle somewhere.
Yep. We used to, it was a habit of ours actually, as part of the marketing team, you know, we had to make edits to the website and you're kind of looking at the leadership page and you're going,
So I'm glad you bring that up.
Yeah.
I'm a company watcher.
Yeah.
And I read their mission. I love reading company missions.
Yep.
Even the ones I'm buying from, I'm like, yo,
okay,
my dollars matter.
Yep.
I'm not just giving it
Where
to
are
the
they
company.
going?
And even I'll pay sometimes more.
Yeah.
If I align with their brand and their
Yep.
values and I feel that way,
Yep.
I'll spend $20 more than I would have.
Yep.
Is that life changing? No, but it just feels good to me.
Yeah.
But I look at their board of directors and their
Yeah.
leadership, and I'm
Yeah.
like, there's some people missing here, and that goes
Yeah.
any kind of different way. It's not
Yep.
just one
Yep.
way.
Yeah.
So, is there women
Yeah.
seeing
Or is it
why?
a is it a
Why?
is it a full dude fest?
Yeah, you can't. Like, I worked for a company, and I quit a company
Yeah.
that I was literally getting to be in the dude fest.
Yeah.
But I knew, I was like, yo, there's no nothing but
Yeah.
the dudes,
Yeah.
right? One type of dude.
Yep.
And so, no,
Yeah.
when you got 10,000 employees, it has to look somewhere similar, in
Yeah.
my opinion. In my opinion, maybe
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. It's been one that I do the same thing. I'm like, ooh. And sometimes it doesn't translate, but sometimes it does. And you're kind of like, do we find this important or do we just preach that we think it's important?
And that, I love that. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see a company, because I watch companies, and I'm like,
Yes.
yo, okay, I see what you're doing. Let me look back in 6 months, a year.
Yep.
Was it real, or
Yep.
was it just the next thing to
Yep.
get customers to say, okay, they believe in this? And
Yeah.
a lot of companies don't.
Yep.
It's all about the money, all
Yep.
about the bottom line and the dollar.
Yep. Well, even as somebody who's internal, like I've had CEOs preach transparency, and this new organization that I'm with preaches transparency, does
Wow.
transparency.
Wow.
And so I came in and I had a little bit of a culture shock because I'm like, where's the trap door? Where am I going to fall through the floor here? Because I'm looking around going, I just came from a place that preached transparency, who I was very close in this company, where now I am coming out of here and I've got no one to vouch for me, where I'm like, you're preaching it. And the CEO is in every single team. He's in there asking questions every single day, trying to figure out what function, like what knobs need to be turned where, and
Yeah.
asking people questions. And I'm like, why do you want to know?
Yeah.
Am I
Yeah.
about to lose my job?
Right.
What's like,
That's not a good feeling,
no.
right? On the other side, the flip side of that
Yeah.
is, like, when you do work for a place where they really value you and
Yeah.
value what you, and you can be one of my biggest things is, like, I'm comfortable in my skin,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to sacrifice or settle or be like, I'm not doing it
Yep.
for a company.
Yep.
Like, I don't know. I'll
Yeah.
make a little bit less money if I can find a
Yeah.
space where you're in,
Yep.
and I can be myself. It's
Yeah.
so important.
Yep. You've talked about your mentorship and how you've mentored young men. How were you mentored? Did you have a mentor at all? And what did that look like for you?
So, first of all, I have mentors now.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
as a young kid, I came from a single parent
Okay.
household, so that was a imbalance in a way.
Yep.
I did have a couple, John and Bev, and I was probably 9.
Okay.
And this is a white couple in a
Okay.
Black community,
Yeah.
right? And it was probably the time where I started to realize that it could come from anywhere,
Yep.
right? I
Yep.
could have it from anywhere, and they're still my friends.
Yeah.
That was 40 something years ago.
Yeah.
They've been in business. They loved on me. They
Yeah.
gave me money. It was everything.
Yeah.
And so from there, I realized how important it was to
Yeah.
build community and have people that have been somewhere you haven't, and listen to them.
Yes.
And so from there, I always either had a mentor, whether they knew it or not. But
Yeah.
even now, I have people that are distant mentors who I've
Yep.
never even met,
Yeah.
that I learn from.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think mentorship is incredibly important. And I even had my boss look at me and she was like, it's probably time in your career to have a mentor in your area of expertise. But even the woman who hired me, she had left before I had, and things were just never the same without her. And I still to this day talk to her every single week, and nothing more than just to check in with her, get her perspective, see how she's doing, her and her family. But we do highlights and we say good and bad, what's happening right now, and just guiding me through, because she's had far more experience than I ever have. But she's been a real treasure in my life.
so important. So one of the questions that I'll ask my mentors, especially if something big,
Okay.
is, what am I missing?
Yeah.
So, this is what I'm about to, a
Yep.
project or whatever it is.
Yes.
What do you see that I'm
Yes.
missing? And just shut up, because I can't see everything.
Yeah.
And when it's something major, I
Yeah.
don't want to make mistakes that I can prevent.
Yep.
Like there's some mistakes that are great. You learn from them, and I get
Yeah.
that. But there's others where like, yo, I should have seen that.
Yeah. Cornelius, I can't thank you enough for being with me here today. And if you do not listen to the Broco show or watch the Broco show, it'll be linked down below as well as Cornelius's social media. But I just can't thank you enough. And I can't wait to keep following you and see what you guys do the rest of this year.
Same. Thank you for inviting me into your space.
Yes.
I know how personal this is.
Yes.
I know what this isn't just,
this
hey,
is
come
the
on
baby. In. This is the baby. You protect the baby.
Yes,
yeah, no, but
I
appreciate it. And I, like I said, very, very grateful to have you here with me today.
Thank you.